Let's go ahead and get started on the recording. Right, so welcome. And hopefully all of you guys have had a chance to review the B3 Burn Health and Body Transformation. We have our 12-week guide, and then we have a nutrition guide. So we're not trying to make this too complicated, but we did have to keep this one a little bit separate just because it was difficult to put them all together. And so one of the questions I've been having is, what does M&M mean? And does that mean that we're eating a lot of M&Ms? So unfortunately, no, we're not eating M&Ms. Although maybe on that cheat meal, right, Brent? You could have a few of those M&Ms. But the M&M guide is just, it's an easy way to just kind of help balance meals and to just group things into food groups. And so we're just going to go through the food group so that you can see the serving sizes, which is important. Serving sizes are important. And then if you're just doing a quick plate check, how to just fill your plate and make a what we call lean and green meals. So your meals are going to be more vegetable and protein on this and healthy fats. And so you'll fill half of your plates with some non-starchy vegetables from the veggie list, and then about half of the plate from the lean proteins or just proteins list. So there's a bunch of proteins, a lean or leanest. You can use any of those. Doesn't necessarily matter actually. And then you would want to add your healthy fats in. So on each meal, we have some healthy fats, which is good. Now, in between your meals, you can use a B3 shake or some fruit with a little protein for a snack. And we'll talk about some of these supplements as we go along. And then you have one free meal a week, which is kind of fun. You can pick which one. And if you are craving foods, it's a good idea just to make sure you write that down and have that on your free food then. For men and women that are exercising more, but we don't feel like if you're following the exercise guide, this should be perfect for you. But if your job is more active or things like that, you may want to take in additional calories. Also, guys will need some additional protein on here also. So we're going to kind of discuss that because we have it set up basically. Let me admit a few more people. We have this set up so that it covers the basic needs, but then there's also, additional needs that might be that we may have. So let's see if I can get my screen to move down here. All right, so there's our resources. We're going to skip that. That one's just, kind of some different things that we have available, but these are the mix and match system. So it just tells you what exactly is a serving, and you can see for those grains and starches in the dairy that's suggested to keep those for your free meal. And that's that once a week meal. But if you're adding in a fruit, let's say you're substituting that in for your B3 shake, then you can use one serving of fruit, and there's the serving size for the fruit. You can see like for grapes, that's 17 grapes. So, but typically it's a small piece of fruit, about the size of that fist. And your occasional M&M items would be another thing, grouping them into 15 grams that you would want to save on your free meal. And then you go over here to a very important list. Those are your proteins and these are your veggies. So when you're having on the plate method, when it says to have about 3 protein, that just means about 3 ounces of protein, which is going to be right around 21 grams. So if you're needing to adjust, you might need 4 proteins for guys that need a little bit more. So that might be 4 proteins per meal. So that'd be about 4 ounces. And so that gives a serving size for the different proteins. And also your non-starchy vegetables typically is a half a cup of cooked or 1 cup raw. And there's 2 servings of non-starchy vegetables on a plate. So it just kind of makes it simpler, hopefully, to just know that you have a couple servings of non-starchy vegetables, you have about 3 to 4 ounces of protein, and then over here you have some of your healthy fats like avocados and olive oil and avocado oil, walnut oil, coconut oil, extra virgin oil, your olives, and even some organic butter. And if you need to use some mayo, there's some olive oil mayo. So these are some of the healthier fats that are great. And then of course we got a lot of whole lists of free foods there. Your celery and pickles. We might add to those as we think of some more. So let's just go through a sample day. And I just wanted you guys to understand that these are just sample meals. This doesn't mean this is what you exactly have to eat for that meal. And there's some suggested supplements on here. And Brent, who is Brent Ujum with our Victory Over Self, he's going to talk a little bit about some of these supplements, okay? So our B3 Burn Transformation Plan, you can see on each meal you have your 2 servings of your non-starchy vegetables, your protein, and like we said with guys, they would have a little bit more protein, and fat. So for guys, maybe bump that up a little bit to your 4 ounces if you need. For women, we're going to say typically about 3. So if that looks like, for example, if you're going from those exchanges, 2 scrambled eggs and 1 ounce of turkey bacon, if you're using that for your 3 proteins. Your vegetable might be a cup of spinach. Just, you can steam it right on top or scramble it in there, or you can just use other vegetables. You know, some people like to throw in some mushrooms or peppers. I love peppers and stuff. And then just saute all that if you are scrambling it in some extra virgin olive oil. So this is an example. Now the start is a collagen drink that is included with B3, and that one is amazing. It does have a lot of the absorbable collagens that can be used for your nails, hair, skin, and we'll be talking about some of these supplements. So I'm just kind of going to review some of the meal plans for you guys, and then we'll take some questions at the end. Now you can see here the snacks. We suggest the B3 milkshake, and B3 milkshake has so many good things in it. It has the pea proteins. It has some MCT oil already in there, but we suggest adding about a tablespoon of these medium chain triglyceride oils. So it's a higher absorbable oil because they're broken down into a smaller chain. And so your body utilizes these MCT oils really well. And you can just buy those at a natural food store. You know, they're, if you can't find it over at your grocery store or at, I don't know, like a place called Complete Nutrition or something like that, those nutrition stores. And then you can add in additional cinnamon and collagen. So those would be an example of snacks. If you don't have the milkshakes, you can again substitute in one of those fruit with a little bit of protein. And so that might look like apple with a little bit of peanut butter to it, or almonds with it. And so you might have some of your fruit and protein there. And then for lunch and dinner, you can see there's another lean and green type meal. And here's something that I like to do. This is why I'm saying you don't have to follow this exactly. I like to make a bigger dinner at night and then just save it for lunch the next day, the other half, so that I don't have to cook so many meals. And so if I had cooked this tilapia the night before and made an extra serving, then I would have that tilapia and salad with some homemade Italian salad dressing the next day. So Brent, if you want to unmute yourself, just come on and talk to us a little bit about these supplements that suggested here, you know, with the MCT oil, the cinnamon, and the collagen.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I love the meals, the suggested meals that you have there. They are all balanced and nice. Only thing everybody has to just modify a little bit is, like you said, the protein based on their lean body mass. So everybody, when you did your scan or you do your calipers and you'll find out your lean body mass, everybody needs 1 gram per pound of protein per pound of lean body mass. So if you're a 100-pound woman, you need 100 grams of protein during the day divided by 5. So that means 20 grams per meal of protein. And then from the charts, you can see how much, you know, how many ounces it takes to make that many grams. It's the same thing. Yeah, those charts will work fine. And the same thing with a medium-sized gal. She'll need about 25 grams of protein per 5 times a day. And a bigger woman will be 30 grams. An average guy, probably 30 grams. And then a medium guy and a large guy is 35 grams of protein per meal. Some of the real smaller ones might be just 25, but per pound of lean body mass, that's the key, because your protein, what they don't tell you in, you know, the nutrition classes and stuff, they do tell you that for every gram of carb, you get 4 calories, for every gram of protein, 4 calories, for every gram of fat, 9, for every gram of alcohol, 7. But what they don't tell you is how many calories or units of heat it takes to burn that gram to give you the calories out. Carbohydrate takes 1 calorie to burn the gram, so you get a +3. Fat, half calorie, so you get a +8.5. Alcohol burns almost immediately, so you almost get all 7 out of that. But protein takes almost as many calories to burn it as it gives you back from it. You can see that for yourself on a stove, burning them on the stove. Anyway, that I like the menus there, but if you can also mix and match. When you understand that, like, those meals have about 10 grams of carbs in them, and then your protein, your adequate protein, and then the good fats, and that'll make this work. You'll be able to eat the rest of the fat for your energy from your fat stores for the day. So we wanted to talk about supplements. Well, let me go to my supplement chart here. I just took a picture of it, and we'll just give you the essentials. There might be specifics for somebody with some different challenges and things, but we want to make everything easy and doable for you. Okay, the first one, most everybody, because the biggest killer of people in America is heart disease. And so in 1998, 3 Americans got the Nobel Prize for their work on L-arginine and L-citrulline. And if you're using those, no heart attacks and stroke, because they create nitric oxide in your body, which dilates cardiovascular and more blood flow, no heart attack and stroke. But so does the growth hormone. It affects the endothelium and makes the nitric oxide come out of the endothelium. So if you use both, you're getting twice of it. And they show it also, if you use it long enough consistently, it'll melt the plaque off the arteries, and it'll stop the snoring at night. And so you get more blood flow. And so a lot of people were able to not have to use their CPAPs anymore. So that would be the number 1 supplement for everybody to have. Number 2 would be trace minerals, and they're really cheap. They get them from the Dead Sea or the Great Salt Lake or from the Himalayas. And in fact, there's a place in the Four Corners, I think, that has the mineral mines. But there's 70 trace minerals that we need to make everything in our body work. And so, and they're cheap, and you can buy them from most any of the health food stores. And around here, you'll see that they probably come from Roy, Utah, from the Great Salt Lake. Next one would be pre and probiotics. A good one, prebiotics, because your intestinal flora lives off of fiber, and it's an energy source for the intestinal flora, and they call it a carbohydrate, but it doesn't make your blood sugar rise. So that's why we don't count it when you were looking at carbohydrates, and we don't count alcohol sugars, because they don't make your blood sugar rise. We got to control blood sugar so circulation's good throughout your whole body. And your second brain is your intestinal flora, and a healthy adult should have 4 to 6 pounds of good, healthy bacteria, 1,000 different strains of bacteria, not just lactobacilli. So there's some really good ones out there. And we can talk about that later. The next one would be MSM, and that's a powder, and I put a teaspoon in my L-arginine drink first thing every morning. Last thing will go to bed at night is when I take mine. This is the stuff that I take every single day, and it also takes the sugar out of your blood. And in your body, sugar causes acid, acid causes pain. You want to get rid of your pain, get rid of the acid, get rid of the sugar. And we're going to do that with this nutritional schedule. You be strict with this. If you want to have a precision health and precision body, you got to eat precision. So you got to know how many grams of protein, how many grams of carb, and how many grams of fat you've got going in. Now, once we've cut all the fat off your body, then your diet should be about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 as far as calories go. that balance between protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Okay, the next supplement would be vitamin C. A good natural vitamin C is by far the best, and that's something we have to have on a daily basis. Animals don't get heart disease because they make their own vitamin C. We do not. So if we don't, we get cracks and fissures in our arteries, especially right up by the heart, where the heart's flexing them and tweaking them, and it get cracks, and then your body plasters it with cholesterol to keep you from bleeding to death inside. So if you're getting enough vitamin C, it's going to create more elastin and collagen. And this growth hormone is going to help us with all of this stuff naturally, besides supplementing. So if we do both and eat good whole foods like Jeanine has on her schedules there, and always the cleanest you can, organic if at all possible, we're going to get a lot more nutrition for our body. Your body has the right building blocks. It can do its job. So 500 milligrams 5 times a day would be, ideal, according to Linus Pauling and a lot of the scientists that have worked on this. If you can't afford the whole natural vitamin C, then sodium ascorbate, will work. D3, everybody in the summer, we get enough vitamin D3 from the sun on our skin. As long as you got enough omega-3s in your skin to do its job and to heal itself and cause that interaction with the liver and the kidneys to make the powerful D3. But in the wintertime, you ought to be taking the 10,000 IUs a day. And the tanning beds, help us make that vitamin D. Just don't burn and don't overdo those. And the cheaper ones that have the UVB light, that's the ones you want anyway. Selenium, 350 micrograms a day, and that's pretty cheap. And D3 and all these things are pretty cheap. Vitamin C, all these things are, affordable for most everybody. And then after that, a good whole food multivitamin, mineral, and calcium, magnesium from citrate, not carbonate. A B complex is always good especially for our brain and nervous function, because that has to do with all your nervous function. And especially if people have nerve damage and stuff, the B12, and especially if you're older, the B12, and then the alpha lipoic acid also. But that is specific, and we can help you on an individual basis, one-to-one, when you got challenges. Let us know. Omega-3 oil is critical. If you're eating fish every day, you might be getting enough. But if not, capsule of salmon oil 4 or 5 times a day, or krill oil, and we'll give you that. Most people over there, if they're over 40 or 30 years old, a supplement, these other ones we can talk about on an individual basis. Zinc, 50 milligrams a day of zinc for men and women. Everybody's low on iodine in America, and Lugos iodine, 5 drops in some water, will help you get that iodine and help that thyroid work better, so it'll help us burn more fat. One other thing, now this is a little more expensive, is the DIM, but it helps. It's made from broccoli and cauliflower. If you're eating enough broccoli and cauliflower every day, you don't have to worry about this. It'll help us metabolize the estrogen and get it out of the body, because in the fat stores where all the estrogen is stored, that's making, your estrogen dominance causes all kinds of problems in the bodies. And this helps when we're burning the fat cells and kicking all this estrogen out into the blood. We want it metabolized and got out of the body, so it's not running around in our blood. So broccoli and cauliflower I would eat a lot of that, and that I do. So that's just some of the things that I do. We can always talk on an individual basis. All right, we can ask question and answer on here after we stop the recording. Mm-hmm. Anything else, Jeannie, that you would like me to cover?
Thanks so much, Brent. So I know we didn't talk a lot about the MCT oil. Do you have a special preference on that you would use for the drinks?
Everybody should, as far as fat goes, everybody should be eating a couple tablespoons of extra virgin coconut oil a day, which is basically MCT oil. But I like MCT oil. I add to my protein shakes. Here's my protein shake. I'll take, and I do this twice a day. I take a half a scoop of the B3 caramel, salted caramel, and ice and water in a blender. I'll put a whole scoop of chocolate egg white protein in it. And if you're a woman, just a half a scoop. I put a teaspoon of collagen. I put a tablespoon of MCT oil, and I put a big heaping teaspoon of cinnamon in there. And I'll whip that up. And if I want, to have my carbs in it, I'll put a third of a banana or a quarter cup of berries. And then that will be a meal. And if I don't want to put the fruit in there, I'll just eat a half a grapefruit with my protein shake. And so I don't know of a certain brand that might be better than others. If anybody knows, I'm open for suggestions on that.
That's great, Brent. Thank you. And I have typed up a supplement page that from what Brent has suggested, so you can take a look at them and see if there's some supplements that you may need to add. And also right here is Brent's green drink that is listed on there at breakfast time. So you'll see a lot of the recipes that's included and with that sample meal plan. And so that green drink is right there. That's included. And we just want to take a few minutes and invite Sarah to come on and talk a little bit about some of the modifications and supplements also. So Sarah is part of our B3 team, and she used to actually work at a supplement store, very knowledgeable like Brent there with the supplements. And so tell us a little bit about some of the different supplements that B3 has to offer and some of the supplements, and then some modifications, I'm sorry, that can be made to meal plans with people that have certain conditions.
So let me just first by saying that so I do a plant-based diet, and that's due to a liver condition that I have. I suffered from a fatty liver disease, and when you have fatty liver disease, it's something that you'll have once you're diagnosed with it. You can put your liver into a healthy state with really good exercise and a clean diet, but the liver disease never goes away. I can maintain a healthy liver by having this healthy lifestyle, but if I were to ever go back to eating an unhealthy diet, my liver would go right back into being in a unhealthy state. So I have to be very vigilant with eating a very clean diet and exercising every single day. And it's the exercise in combination with a healthy diet that keeps my liver healthy. So with that being said, the preferred diet for those with liver conditions is a plant-based diet, which means no animal products or animal proteins. So I don't, or I can't consume animal meats or dairy products. So what do I eat, or what do people who are on a plant-based diet take in for proteins? So there are a lot of options out there. It's not that we don't eat protein. There's actually, our Heavenly Father has provided everything for us on the earth to actually have a very healthy diet. And so I'm going to give you some options that if you're wanting to subscribe to that diet program or that healthy lifestyle, or maybe you are on a plant-based diet, or maybe you're just wanting more options besides having a lot of meat in your diet, there are things that you can do and have a really clean diet, or just maybe more options for you out there. So I'm going to go over a couple of things that you can alternate out for that meat portion of your diet. So I start every day with, so the protein powder that I use, because I need a higher protein content in my powder for my drinks in the morning, is Orgain protein powder. And that's because the protein content in it is higher than the B3 start, or the B3 meal. And that's just because I need more protein. I'm not going to be getting it in meat or eggs, where everybody else is getting it in their program. And that is a plant-based protein powder. And you can get that at Sam's Club, and it comes in several different flavors. If you have a Costco near you, Costco also carries it. You can also order online. Sam's Club just has it the cheapest. And so anyways, and I mix it with berries, and I get some dairy-free yogurt. And so there's a suggestion. Lentils are a really, really good source, and probably lentils are probably going to be your highest source of protein. For about a cup of lentils, you get about 18 grams of protein. That is huge. And you can cook those lentils. You can put them on top of green salads. You can just eat them plain as on your plate. They are going to be a high source of fiber and carbs. So you're going to probably count those as your carbs and your protein at the same time. But again, it's going to be probably your highest source of protein that you're going to get in your diet in one lump sum for one serving. I mean, think about that, 18 grams of protein in 1 cup. That's huge. But you could also combine that into soups or anything else if you don't want to just eat the lentils plain. That can kind of be a little overpowering if you're not a big lentil lover. Seeds are another great option. That's everything from chia seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds. Those are all really rich in mineral and protein sources. And they're all going to vary in their amounts of protein that they have. But the rule of thumb is about a 1/4 cup of seeds will range from about 7 to 9 grams of protein. And again, you're going to put those on salad. You're going to put them in smoothies. You're going to put them in just about everything you can think of, just eating them by the handful. But your rule of thumb is going to be about a 1/4 cup. And I suggest go to the dollar store and get measuring cups, because you're going to want measuring cups to measure everything until you start realizing how big a 1/4 cup of nuts is. Because if you're like me, if nuts are going to be a good source of filling out your day, I love almonds, and I could probably eat 2 cups of almonds if I'm not watching myself. They become our M&Ms. Same with peanuts and cashews and macadamia nuts and Brazil nuts. So you have to really kind of portion yourself out, because eating a lot of nuts can also do havoc on your intestinal tract. You don't want to get impacted, because that can cause a whole nother problem. Let's see, spirulina is also a really great source of protein. And that's something that could be sprinkled on your salads. It could be sprinkled into your soups, into your rices. It could be put into your protein powders, as well as nutritional yeast. And then you've got your beans, your legumes. Those can be served by themselves on your plate, or again, in your salads, in your soups, by themselves. And then you've got cauliflower. Most people don't think of cauliflower having a good source of protein, but it does. But cauliflower also has omega-3 fatty acids, as well as a lot of, it's actually one of the highest vitamin B contents in the vegetable world. So if you think about that, if you're vitamin B, as in boy, deficient, it's got B1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9, plus vitamin C and so much more. And let's see, what else was there? Got beans. There's also tofu. I know a lot of us women are trying to stay away from soy. So just be cautious about soy. Especially if you have had breast cancer, if someone in your family has had breast cancer. And then there's leafy greens. Not a lot of people think that protein is found in vegetables, but it is. You think of pea protein. Well, that pea protein comes from actual peas. So the darker the green in the vegetable, the more protein and the higher the nutritional content. So if you think of like kale and spinach, those would be the ones that will have the higher the protein content, as well as the higher nutritional value. So I always tell people, if you're having a hard time consuming like the kale, the radicchio, any of those really hard, rich tasting vegetables, shred it as fine as you can. And it'll be a lot easier to take in. And the more variety in your salad, the better your salad's going to taste. So I would say the best salads will have at least 12 to 15 different vegetables in them. And the more color. the more color in the rainbow, the greater the salad's going to be. So just have as much variety as you can, and try and make a really big salad. Like Janine was saying, having a large salad and breaking it up so you have like a salad for like 3 days in containers. And I find it really helpful to just put a piece of paper towel at the top of my salad when I'm like doing a meal prep. It just absorbs some of that moisture that gets trapped in the containers, so that the salads don't, the cut up vegetables and stuff don't start to turn brown. It absorbs that moisture to keep it from going bad. And then just making sure your dressing that you're putting on top is a really healthy dressing, so that you're not adding unnecessary fats to your dressing or to your salads. I think that's all I have for right now. Are there any questions, or are we going to hold questions to the end?
Yeah, let's go ahead and I'm just going to add one thing. I know that this is kind of a 5 meal. A lot of times we had done a 6 meal. One of the concepts here is to do like an intermittent fast, just from like say 7 to 7 a.m. So Brent, I know you had talked a little bit about when to eat your first meal on this program, and to now there's certain conditions, like say if you have diabetes and need to eat at night or early in the morning, you may need a supplement, or a meal. So typically if you're finished at 7 and then you do your workout the next morning and then eat that first meal, that would be a slight intermittent fast right there. You'd have the 12 hours and do your workout prior to having your first meal.
Yeah, that's excellent. If you do that 10 effort workout with the B3 bands before you have your first meal, and you fasted for 12 to 14 hours, you're going to kick that growth hormone on 1,200% more. And so that's the ideal time to do the strength training B3 workout. The cardio, do that anytime during the day you want. Another comment I had on the fiber, what Sarah said was great. I liked all those options, and lentils and everything. Just when you're counting the carbs on all of those things, don't count the fiber. Subtract the fiber out from it when you're counting the carbs. And if there's any alcohol, sugars, and anything, you subtract those. And as far as fat goes, you don't really have to worry much about fat, because it really helps you burn fat, especially the good fats, like in macadamia nuts. I have a couple of those every day because they have the omega-7 in it, which really helps you burn fat. And I have a couple of Brazil nuts every day, because each one of those has about 45 to 90 milligrams of selenium, micrograms of selenium. And so a couple of those almost get your quota for selenium during the day. So you can get this. If you want to have precision health and precision body, you got to become a scientist. God is a scientist. Everything is precision and balanced. And we want to have that balance, which they call homeostasis. And so we'll work with you and teach you all we know. Plus we'll learn at the same time as we go along in all this. And we learn a lot by the questions that get asked. No such thing as stupid questions, just stupid answers. And if we don't know something, I like that, because then we'll go after to find the answer for you. And that helps us get smarter too.
And
Perfect.
someone else in the group might have an answer to something that someone else has a question to. So feel free to throw information out. We're all here to support each other.
That's right.
Stop the recording.